Hello everyone, you are watching ITV Gold and I'm your host Aditi Lamba. Welcome to another exciting segment of Inside Scoop where we bring to you prominent South Asian personalities from India and over here. Today on the show, I have to say we're almost graced and extremely honored to have with us someone who has been a recipient of several national awards from India, a person who really identifies with the youth of the nation, someone who's known to have very progressive opinions and really motivate a great amount of culture throughout the nation. He's a script writer, he is a lyricist, and he's a poet. And it's an honor and privilege again to have on the show with us none other than Padma Bhushan, Shri Javed Akhtar. Thank you so much for being with us on ITV Gold.
Thank you.
Javed ji, it is an absolute honor for me right now as a young Indian journalist to have you, because I feel that a lot of journalists don't get these moments. I have to ask you, when we are starting this interview, you've had such an amazing journey. You come from a family that is in poetry, that is in literature. You speak so heavily about the influence of words and the strength of words. So at this point, when you sit in the US, are you happy with how the words have taken you so far? And have you felt the strength of words that you usually talk about?
Well, I believe that words are not only for simple information, passing of information, but words are much more than that. Words carry culture. It's the language is the vehicle that carries culture,
Right.
tradition, and ultimately your rootedness, your identity. The moment you cut a person from a language, the person doesn't only lose a language, but loses a complete tradition, a culture, a civilization,
Right.
an identity, a certain rootedness that goes away. So obviously, language is very important. And what is language but words, ultimately? These are the words that carry so much of your cultural heritage,
Right.
that you get deprived of if you don't have those words.
Are you happy with how you were sort of able to take that culture and present it in so many ways? And what sort of inspired that? Do you have a recollection of a moment where you said, I belong to this family, I maybe have this great gift of words that's coming to me, let me put this and this is working for me?
No, I never thought like that.
No?
First of all, I never carried that weight in my heart that I belong to this family.
Right.
I suppose this is in our tradition, that not to get intimidated by the tradition.
Right.
And that is why when I look at the work of my grandfather, and then my father,
Right.
and then my own work, and then the work of my children, I feel that yes, all of us have been dealing with words and literature one way or the other, but every generation has a totally different voice.
Right.
To remain contemporary, I'll give an example of my children.
Yes.
Zoya or Farhan.
And Farhan, yes.
Generally what happens that if your father has made some position in a particular vocation or a particular discipline,
Right.
so the child tends to emulate, at least in the beginning, tends to emulate the parent and then finds his or her own voice. But if you look at the work of Farhan or Zoya, right,
Right,
from the beginning,
right.
Dil Chahta Hai or Luck by Chance,
Yes,
and so on.
or Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
Yeah, Zindagi.
Yeah.
These films have totally different sensibility
Right.
from my films. And my poetry is totally different from the poetry of my father, and his poetry was totally different
That's
from my
true.
grandfather. So as a matter of fact, I think we have taken the tradition forward, but not exactly the same way. The tradition is, yes, being in love with language, being someone who values words, but at the same time, we have not emulated
Right.
our seniors or elders or parents. And so that's why I never thought that, oh God, I belong to a family who was 7 generations of
Yeah.
writers, and my father wrote this, and my grandfather and great-grandfather. If I would have thought of that, consciously or unconsciously, I would have become the echo
Yeah.
instead of becoming a voice. And I think none of us have done that.
I think that's beautifully said. You basically evolved language in the family in that perspective. You know, when you look at the film industry right now, you are someone, when we're just talking about words and everything around it, you have yourself been very vocal about, you know, getting lyricists the accreditations that they deserve, you know, script writers, their names on the movies. You have stood there and fought the bills regardless of the flack you may or may not have gotten. Why was that so necessary for you? And now when you look at 2018, since the bill has been passed, there is more. Do you think that respect, have you seen a change in that? And how much more do we have to push for lyricists and scriptwriters to get that, you know, respect and that name more and more on air and everywhere else?
Well, it's not really the name.
And the royalties.
Much more than that, you know. For almost 10 years,
right,
I worked for a particular goal, and thankfully it was achieved. All over the world, where the music is played on a FM, on radio, or on a television, and so on, so on, wherever the music is played, certain royalty is generated. And this royalty has different shares. A part of it is called royalty for sound recording. Sound recording means one who has made it, the record, one who has recorded it, the producer, or maybe the music company or whoever.
Right.
And the other equal share is called royalty for performing.
Yes, for the artist.
That underlying work, for the underlying work. It means the music and the words.
Exactly.
It is all over the world, and it was in India too. Not that we invented it. But at the very first interaction between the composer-writer, I'll call them authors because both of them are authors,
exactly,
and the producers or the music company, the author used to lose all the rights because it was a kind of a cartel of music companies, and they had decided that whenever we will sign a contract, and the film producer, whenever we will sign a contract, it will be only taking all the rights from them. And the authors had no choice but to sign on the dotted line and surrender all their royalty.
That was just because they were getting money for giving them the song.
Yeah, money, and after that royalty, they were not getting of their rightful right.
Wow. Even though they're the ones that are writing the lyrics that are being popular.
Now the only way to protect them, because suppose one writer stands up and says, I will not share my royalty with the producer, I'm not going to give it, I'm not going to surrender my right to royalty, they would not sign him. So it had to be a collective effort. And the author who was in a vulnerable position had to be protected. So we went to the government, we went to different political parties, opposition parties, and created a consensus among them that yes, the law should be changed. The copyright law of India, in spite of all its good intentions, is not able to protect the author's rights. And thankfully, the whole parliament and ultimately agreed on that. It took a little time, but they amended the bill, and now it is not legally possible to take away the royalty rights of the authors. Any contract that takes away the right to royalty from the author is legally void. This is the law of the country now. So it means everybody has claim over the royalty, and they will get their rights. And then there is a society called IPR, Indian Performing Rights Society, which was there, but ultimately because these people, the authors, did not have the right, the society was a vehicle for the big music companies or big producers. Now the writers have entered, and they have taken over, and they have their rightful position in the society, and from all over the world, they are going to get their royalties.
Exactly. And just talking more about that concept, it always gets often brought up in film industry or in any kind of industry when it deals with media, is giving writers and, you know, script writers, lyricists, or people that are working in the production aspect more name and royalty. And you're always at times struggling with it. Being a scriptwriter yourself, and then being a lyricist, and then having your children be directors and writers themselves, did you guys see that issue come up when you had to develop creative stories? Did you see that at that time also? And do you see them struggle right now as well?
This particular writer is strictly for the music.
Okay.
Music. And now the screenwriters are also trying to develop a society, and they have gone to the government and they have applied there. So sooner or later that too shall happen. But this had happened. This society was already there. This right was already there, but it was transferable. It was waivable. And that is what was happening. It was getting transferred at the very first opportunity. So now it won't happen.
So just talking a little bit more on that aspect, the reason I brought this up was because you have always been very vocal in many social issues and things that really impact someone's creative abilities or just voicing. So just taking off of that, a lot of the youth in India or elsewhere, these days struggle with many things. There's this discrimination of different kinds. There's issues about jobs. There's issues about the industry. When you look at the youth and see them voicing for several things, especially in India, be it for women's safety, be it for protecting the underprivileged, be it for getting more, voices for the underprivileged minority community, where do you think the youth currently should be focused on? And as someone who's been so politically involved and someone who has so many voices in the social sphere, what would you advise them in that? What do you think is the Indian society missing in terms of the youth and the youth involvement?
What am I to advise them? I think they have better sense and better values than my generation. But the fact remains that on one hand, their frustration or their discontent is quite justified, and they want to see a better society. They want to get better opportunities. They want to be treated with an even hand. They want to find more justice in life.
Right.
Fine. And all their demands are totally justifiable. But at the same time, they also have to think that how we are contributing, however humble and small our contribution may be. I am a student. Am I a responsible student? I am a citizen. Now, after 18, you are a full-fledged citizen. You have the right to vote. So, as a citizen, whatever little contribution I can make towards the society, it is not only the government and the powers that be who are responsible for the country. All of us are. Am I doing something? So, on one hand, yes, demand.
Right.
On one hand, protest. Yes, you have all the right. And on one hand, you expose negative forces in the society and stand against them. But on the other side, we have to do some introspection also.
Right.
Are we being destructive or constructive? Are we really bothered about whatever tiny part of the country we live in that locality, on that particular mohalla, or in that area, in that colony, in that society where we are living? Are we doing something? Because if all of us start making some minor contribution toward the society, if so many people do that, all the students, all the young people start doing it, I think we can contribute hugely.
Do you think India needs to mobilize even more, according to you? Mobilize in the social sphere, mobilize in empowering more rural area. Do you think the youth, which is known as right now the highest population of the nation, do you think they're doing their parts right?
Well, you see, youth is not a monolith, and India is not a monolith.
Right.
So there are many things which are happening, there are many things which should have happened and not happening. There are many things which shouldn't have happened, they are happening, and so on and so forth. And there are many things which should have happened and they are happening. So you cannot answer this question in yes and no, because it's not linear. Life is not linear. A huge society like India, we can't give any verdict on it at all. We are very paradoxical people, Whatever worst you can say about India, exactly the opposite of it is also true.
That's so
Whatever
true.
best you can say about India exactly the opposite is also true. So we are not linear. We live in paradoxes. But the fact remains that if you see the last 70 years, we have traveled a long way.
Right.
A long way. Maybe we could have traveled even more. Maybe we could have been even achieved much more than what we did. Yes, why not? But our achievement in 70 years as a democracy, as a society, progressive, dynamic society which is moving forward, changing every day, I think grand total is good.
It's good?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the establishment or the government, if you don't mind sharing it? Right now, India is going into a lot of, political dialogues and looking forward to the elections. We would love to get your word on it, even if it's an encouragement for everyone to go out and vote.
You see, governments are only a kind of any government in any part of the world is the manifestation of what is happening in the society. What are the values of the society at that point of time? What is the aspiration and what is the morality of the society? Government only reflects that. They are there in democracies. They are there because that is how many people are thinking. And that is what many people would like to see. And that is what this is being done, or that is why these people are there, and so on and so forth. Anywhere in the world, from USA to India to Japan or anywhere, where there is democracy, it means it is the people's choice. So whenever you see things are not going correctly, we have to, again, the society has to do some introspection. How did it happen? How such people came into power? They did not parachuted into power. They were sent by the people. Where people went wrong. And if, in spite of being a minority, they come into power anywhere, it means the majority was fragmented. The majority could not understand that they have to be united against this power and so on and so forth. So ultimately, instead of only bothering about the government is a reflection of the society. We should think about the society and where the society has gone wrong, why it has happened, why we have developed this kind of values, why this is how people are looking at things. A sizable number of people is thinking like that. If you correct that, and if you manage to assuage their insecurities and their fears, and somehow make them see what is wrong about the path that they intend to take, the governments change. So instead of blaming the government, any government is the shadow of the society's thinking.
So true. That's so true.
Change the society, the government will become different.
I hope the viewers took that advice because I totally did. I think that was so beautifully said. I really hope people can learn and actually, utilize that. And I think when people do look into the government and they look into voting, it's very important to have that introspect, to really see what is really wrong, what is really right, what do I really want out of this. I have a question for you, quick question, just came to my mind. If I was to ask you right now, define success and define peace, and could you connect those two? What would your answer be?
I believe if it is not giving you peace, then it is not success, it is only an achievement. The fact is that ultimately, and what is success? I mean, the definition will change from person to person, but ultimately, success is having choices. Success is being happy with yourself and happy with your environment. It doesn't mean that there should not be any ambition. But if at any point in time, whatever you're doing, you're happy, you're proud, you have a clean conscience, and you're feeling nice about it, you're a successful person. If you're unhappy while you have all the rewards and awards of the world and you are unhappy, then you have achieved a lot. Lucky, good for you, but that is not success. Because ultimately, if it has not given you self-esteem, if it has not given you satisfaction, if it has not given you peace, satisfaction,
Right.
then it's not success. Success is being happy with yourself and with a clean conscience, with certain sense of dignity and self-esteem. That is success. Suppose a man has a pawn shop. He
Right.
sells pawn. That is his vocation. But he's happy with his work and he's doing well. And he feels that, yes, I intended to earn so much per day and I'm getting as a matter a little more than that. And everybody who comes to my pawn shop respects me and I also like them. They're wonderful people who come to my shop. And happily I'm looking after my children well. And life is kind to me. He's a successful person.
That's true. And he's happy. And his mind is at peace.
If you are a tycoon, if you have mines and factories and huge industries, and you feel miserable because you are not as rich as the next person, and you think that nobody cares for you. Actually, people are selfish and they are only exploiting you. And even your own family doesn't care for you. They only care for your money and so on and so forth. And what am I doing? And where have I reached? I mean, this factory is actually not working well. What to do about it? And if you are living with this kind of misery,
That's true. What's the purpose?
maybe called a successful person. Maybe you are a billionaire.
That's true. That's true. One more question, just based on that. How would you define the purpose of life? In a very simple language. How would you define it to someone to see that how should they look for the purpose of their life?
Purpose of their life? Okay. Life has no purpose.
Life has no purpose.
You have to find one. You have to make one.
Your own.
Yes. Your birth was random, totally random. It just happened.
Correct.
And I believe that there is nothing after death. So this is an interval between nothingness and nothingness. Now you have to find a purpose, because the very fact that you were born, which was just an accident or
Random.
coincidence, you got the membership of a club called Human Society. This club is perhaps 10,000 years old. And members have come and you get temporary membership in this club. Members come and members go away. But so many members in last so many millenniums have contributed something or the other. So today you and me are sitting in front of a movie camera was made by somebody on this furniture that we have not made, and this carpet that we have not made, and this table and this electricity and the car in which you came here and so on and so forth. Everything, the clothes that we are wearing.
That's true.
Everything was made, discovered, invented by people who were the members of this club. So this club offers you so many facilities. I think being a decent member, you should respect the contribution of those people who have made life so easy for you, and see to it that you don't disturb things. And if before quitting the club or checking out, if you also contribute a little towards this club, that will be a good idea. That's all.
Wow.
Now, how you can contribute, that is for you to decide.
Wow. I must say, as a lyricist and a poet, you describe and define things very easily.
Thank you.
It doesn't have to be so complicated. I kind of want to change the game run here a little bit, just because I know we might be limited on time. A lot of aspirants and a lot of young singers, musicians, writers, they really look up to you, especially in the US. A lot of these artists are being raised on Bollywood music. music either written, composed under your direction. Some of them, people my age, we've all grown up on movies like Dil Chahta Hai, in which you also wrote the lyrics. What do you have to say about that industry of these young artists? And, when they're here, especially the ones that are in the US, what kind of advice could you give them?
I'll only suggest, advice is a too condescending word, but I'll say, I have a humble suggestion that whatever you're doing, suppose you're a musician, there should be a lot of intake. Learn music. By music, you should know Indian classical music, you should know European classical music, you should know Latin American music. Whatever you can learn.
Right.
Learn as much as possible. We may think that, Ari bhai, why do we learn so much? After all, we have to write a song, light song, and we are not going to be classical musicians. That is not right. Because when I want to become a writer,
right.
So I feel that I want to be a film writer, I want to write dialogue in film. Why should I read great writers? Why should I read Victor Hugo? Or why should I read Shakespeare? Or why should I read Hemingway? I mean, what do they have to do with my dialogue writing? Why should I read like Tagore or Premchand? What is the need? But it's not right. The fact is that when I read all of them and learn from them, the way to express things, how they did it, what words they chose to say something, and so on and so forth, so I'll have a huge repertoire. And then when I have to write film dialogue, that will be so easy for me, because I'll have so many words and so many ideas and so many structures and so many ways of saying things at my disposal.
That's true.
I will pick and choose whenever I want to do that. I have learned so much that is necessary. Same with music. If you want to be a musician, maybe you want to make pop songs. Doesn't matter. Maybe you don't want to be a classical musician. It doesn't matter. But if you know all the symphonies, if you know what Beethoven and Bach did, how Mozart did, you will become richer. Then when you are making a song, light-hearted song, it will be so easy for you. What are the ragas?
Right.
How these ragas are formed, how they communicate different feelings, different emotions without a word. That you listen to a rag and you come to know what this rag is talking about, what the rag is saying, only its sound will explain to you. So if you have understanding of those things, imagine what kind of a song you will make. But if you think that since I want to be a pop musician or pop singer, let me listen to pop, then it will be a kind of inbreeding. You will do what is done.
It's true.
But when you will learn things from everywhere, then you will have so much, then you will be able to do something which has not been done.
That is so true. That is so true. Do you think there is a lot of room and space right now for young artists within India and the ones here to actually find success in however way they seem, and to find, actually get these big numbers in movies or other mediums?
You see, there are no vacancies where you can apply.
That's true.
Talent creates places. Talent doesn't go that there is a place available there, so talent goes there. Talent makes its own space. It expands the space and finds its own space. So talent is like a river.
Right.
You look at any river, Amazon, Nile, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Yangtze,
yes.
Volga, all these rivers ultimately reach the ocean, one ocean or the other.
True.
Nile, look at the trajectory. If you on the map see how this river reached the ocean, which started from a mountain or from some strange place, thousands of miles away from the ocean. Every river has its own way. Because it will have, because every river confronts different topography. Some rivers go through the mountains, some from the fields, some from the marshy areas, some from the desert, and so on and so forth. So obviously they make their own way, and ultimately these great rivers reach the ocean. But every river has reached the ocean in its own way, but there is only one thing that is common in all of them. It is the thrust. It is the thrust of the water that cut through the mountains, that went through the deserts and did not get absorbed there. It goes through the jungles. There are no highways made for rivers. There are no signals and arrows made, please turn left, go right. The river finds its own way the same way. When there is thrust in the talent will find its own way and will reach the ocean of success. But the thrust has to be strong.
Wow.
If it continues, it will reach. And it will reach its own way.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for an awesome time with us on ITV Gold. Any last minute messages to all your wonderful South Asian viewers all across the nation?
Please come for a show, and I hope that you like it. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. And that was none other than Padma Bhushan Javed Akhtar ji, a beautiful conversation on music, his life, and the purpose of life. Stay with us on ITV Gold as we bring you so much more. I'm Aditi Lama signing off with cameraman Raja Bhati.